My name is Nick Dressen. I am a senior studying business administration here at the David Eccles School of Business. I'm excited for this opportunity to be involved in today's Sales Innovation Summit and introduce our speaker. Amy Frampton has spent the last 20 years in technology, marketing, and leadership roles through marketing and executive roles at Bamboo HR, Smartsheet, Vulcan, Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, and Microsoft. She currently serves as CMO at Nava. Amy is a graduate at University of Utah and is an active mentor for students at the U. If we have time for Q&A, please wait for me to hand you guys the mic. That way our audio and video can match. Please join me in welcoming Amy Frampton.
Okay, we'll see if I can do this right. We did. Excellent. Thanks so much for coming out today. What a cool event. This is my first year at this event. I just think it's amazing. Great business school and great event to focus on sales. And so I'm really excited today to tell you about True Love, which is marketing and sales together. But before I do that, I want to just ask a couple questions of the group. So who here is working in sales right now? Awesome. So you guys know how amazing marketing is. Come on, besties, right? Maybe not always, but we're going to talk about why, and we're going to talk about how it can happen. And who's in school thinking you'll go into sales? Awesome. Well, it's a great career, and I encourage it. You know, I also, you could always take a look at marketing. No big deal. Am I allowed to say that? Okay, great. So, but sales and marketing, that go-to-market motion, it's really important that we all work together. And in the jobs where I've had the most success, and also, frankly, been the happiest is when we are really tied at the hip in terms of go-to-market. And so what I want to do today is talk to you about why that matters so much, some pitfalls that sometimes happen between sales and marketing teams and how you can get around those, how marketing can help you either in your current job or in a future job, and questions that you should ask during your interview process at any company in sales to understand how the marketing team will be supporting you. We'll get on to that. So sales, always be closing, right? When you go into sales, you have got this number, and this the ABC, always be closing, and it's super easy to feel like that number is all on you. But what I'm here today to tell you is that it's not. Whether you're doing inbound sales or outbound sales, actually, who knows the difference between, or definitions of inbound sales and outbound sales? And then, of course, some roles are combined, but back there. That's right. Inbound is when customers are contacting you. Outbound is when you're contacting them. Now, if your marketing team's doing the right things, they're driving a ton of inbound for you, right? People that have asked for a demo, people that have asked for a trial, people that want to know more about pricing, people that have come to a bunch of webinars and you know that they're looking. If your marketing team is doing the right things, they'll be able to understand the phase at which people are buying, and they'll drive really good inbound leads. Now, there are people that think inbound is the only way to go. There's also people that think outbound is the only way to go. And outbound is when you as a salesperson target people that you want to go after, either in your assigned territory, the assigned industry that you have for the company, or they'll say, in this maybe size company, and you'll research and you'll be like, this person's on LinkedIn and they just changed jobs, and that we know that's a sign that they might want to buy our software or machinery or whatever, right? So that's outbound. I personally think in a perfect world, you have both motions in most companies, because you want your marketing team bringing in those leads and getting people engaged and warmed up, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. But it's also great as salespeople to be able to be engaged and say, we're going to go for it and we're going to start targeting and do some outbound. But something for you to think about when you get your first sales job or when you get your third sales job, do I want to really work on inbound? Do I want to mix, or am I an outbound person? I interviewed someone yesterday for my SDR team, which are sales development reps. They usually warm up leads, set up meetings. And it's a great way to get into broader sales roles. And I said, how do you feel about inbound versus outbound in terms of what you want to do with the company? And he said, I love outbound. I'm super, he loves making his numbers. He loves talking to people, loves figuring it out. He said, but I always want to have a little bit of inbound so that I can talk to people about why they're engaging with our message. And he said, so I'd like a little bit of a mix of both. So really important to think about as you take a job what you might want to have. Now, marketing, never fear, marketing man is here. Now, I'll tell you that a lot of people will, in sales, will say, oh, marketing, they come and they show us these slides and the slides aren't right. I don't know how they help us. And so this is why I'm here today. I love this one. But I think marketing really can help you in what you're doing. And so I'm going to walk you through both the roles in marketing that can help you and that are available. And then I'm going to walk you through how through the customer funnel these teams can work together. So don't roll your eyes when marketing comes over to your team. It makes us sad. So here are some marketing roles. And I certainly didn't list all of them. But if you think about at a high level, there's brand roles, and they're thinking about more than just the logo and the colors. Brands, you know, as it's landed in tech over the last 30 years is more than that. It's more than the Ford logo or more than something like that. It's really, how do you talk about yourself? How do you show up? What relationship are you building in terms of trust? What do people know they can get from you as a company, and what should they expect? And how are you going to come back and talk to them? That's brand, and that's at the highest air cover level of the funnel, which we'll talk about in a minute. Press relations, really important, and they often can do articles for you and things that you can use in sales. And that's talking to industry publications, broader business publications, and getting your name out there. And I'll talk about how that affects sales in a minute. General communications, so communications to customers, communications internally, that usually sits in marketing. All of the digital stuff that we all see, whether we're at a tech company or a different kind of company, digital marketing is literally where most companies spend most of their energy, whether it's paid ads, and we all see this, right? The sponsored stuff, the remarketing. You click on an ad or you talk to your partner about something, and all of a sudden that purse is everywhere. Maybe that's just me. But we all see that kind of tracking, right? And that's digital, and that's done in marketing. Growth or demand generation, these are often, they're kind of used together, or some companies say growth, some companies say performance. But demand generation is all about driving that inbound pipe. And so, you know, if you have inbound salespeople, they want leads to call all the time. And a growth or performance or demand generation team is set to bring those in, warm them up, and have them ready for sales. Product marketing is a particular love of mine. I have one of my product marketers here today. She's really good. And product marketing is all about how do you talk about the product and solution that you have. So if you think about brand is at a very high level, think about any brand that you know. Let's say Coke. Super high level, you know, it's going to be fun, it's going to be energetic, it's going to be a certain way. Product marketing is more about exactly each product that they release. There's Diet Coke, there's Coke Zero, there's all these, you know, cherry, And so they have product marketers. And in tech, it's exactly the same way, which is where I've spent most of my career. You're talking about the features and the benefits of everything that you're selling. So it's a double click down on the brand. Customer marketing is both talking about customer stories, so marketing about customers, but it's also marketing to your customers. Now, why does that matter? You want them to buy again? If you're in software, you want them to stay. Most software businesses, you have to run a retention and churn program. And a lot of salespeople are comped on retention. So if you sell something, particularly in a month-to-month business in tech, and they leave after 6 months, that hurts your comp. So bottom line, you want to know what they're doing to maintain retention and stop churn, and then all of the creative elements. And these are always the fun ones. The video, the creating of the ads, all of that lives in marketing. So where these teams come together is in go-to-market, which is where, as a salesperson, you are or you will be spending most of your time. And I want to talk a little bit about funnel. You're never going to meet a marketing leader or a sales leader that doesn't have a picture like this. Literally, if you do, text me. and I'll send you $5 because it will never happen. So usually when you have a funnel like this, the top, awareness, and I'll walk through what it all means. Awareness, interest, and consideration, they say is marketing. So over here to the right where I have marketing. And then normally they would say, you all are in evaluation and purchase. They would say sales in a traditional funnel. So I've played with this. And then they would say activation and retention is going to be your customer success or client success teams and support. And so I changed this up a little bit because I think it's important for you to understand how marketing can support you in every stinking stage of the funnel. We play in all of those places, and that partnership can mean you close faster, you close a higher percentage, and they retain longer. And that's what we all want as a business. So think of this funnel as, it's not totally, it doesn't get as tight. Maybe it's because as a marketer, I don't want to think about losing that many prospects. But this is a funnel where you start broad and you want people to know who you are. That's awareness. It's as simple as that. You want them to know who you are and what you do. So if you said a company on the Silicon Slopes, Adobe, who here knows who they are and what they do? Awesome. Their brand awareness is pretty high. And then if you're a smaller company, or if you're a company that's maybe more tightly focused or doesn't have a lot of brand budget, there might be an awareness issue so that when you're calling as an outbound caller, people say, who? You're at the what? And that's the opposite of what you want. So you want high brand awareness when you have these jobs, and think about your brand recognition and what those marketing teams are doing for you. Interest is next, and sales teams normally call this engaged. So I've got kind of the sales stages here in parentheses. And that's, not only do I know what Adobe is, I think I need Creative Cloud. Or I think I at least need something like Creative Cloud. So marketing's job is to make sure that people know who you are when you call and what you do when they might think, I actually might need that. And then consideration is when they're actually looking for, hey, I'm going to look at 3 different Creative Cloud type products. I'm going to look at 3 different new boats. It's literally as tactical as that. When people are thinking about, yeah, I actually think I need to figure out which one of these I need to get, that's consideration. Then you really hit where the partnership becomes even more important, which is evaluation and purchase. And that's where the first part, marketing team takes the lead. Second part, the sales team takes the lead. And it's our job as marketers to make sure that as people are evaluating your product, no matter what it is, that you have the materials that you need and that you're ready to go to have those conversations and that you can get to close one really quickly. And then as you activate and the CS team, customer success, client success, make sure that they retain and grow, we can help you there too, and I'll show you how. So the kinds of things that marketing can do for you at the awareness through consideration phase, often called top of the funnel or tofu. Tofu, it's the best. That's really all about capturing and generating those marketing qualified leads, MQLs. And that is a phrase you will definitely hear if you haven't heard. MQLs, we're all about driving MQLs. So that's organic, that's social media, it's SEO, search engine optimization. It's all the paid ads, it's referrals. And then what we do is we track how many people are coming to the site, how many MQLs are we getting inbound, and how are we thinking about those across our target audience. But we're more than just top of the funnel. We are also MOFU, we're middle of the funnel. And we love to help you nurture and close customers. So really great from that PMM person I talked about, really great demos. So that as people are getting into evaluation, you can show them, here's the demo, here's the customer story of someone that you compete with that's saving 20% or doing something 50% faster because they're using our product and they're your competitor. Does that make you nervous? Do you want to buy? And so marketing can create all your decks. Often they're involved with events that keep people warm, all of those sorts of things. And we track that basically through new closed won, which is bookings, people that sign a contract with you. And so don't let your marketers off the hook Don't let them just send you leads, which we all love MQLs, and then you have to figure it out from there. Make sure you're asking questions of your product marketing team, of your customer marketing team, and saying, what can you help me, what can you use to help me move people through the funnel or reactivate? So at my last company, you probably saw on the slide, it says I was at a company called No Fraud. I started a new job last week, and I took the morning off this morning. So I said, sorry, I've already got something. And at my last company, we had people go cold a lot. It was a very long sales cycle. You'll hear about sales cycle a lot. And people would just stop answering. Like they'd be like, yeah, I'm in evaluation. I love this. This is so cool, blah, 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 blah. And then they would just go cold because they got busy with something else. We were in e-commerce. Maybe it's the holidays. Maybe they have a Valentine's or a summer spike in terms of their cyclical sales cycle, and they just would go cold. So we did a lot of virtual and in-person events where we would bring people together, potential customers and customers, as the marketing team to re-warm those folks up. Hey, I know you're super busy, thought you might be interested in this happy hour that's happening in your town. So as salespeople, you don't have to say, watch this demo again, come on, sign the contract, even though they've gone cold for 3 months. You're saying, come talk to peers, learn something, and then they re-engage. And that's the perfect example of something that marketing can do for you. And then in terms of activation, that retention number is something every company I've ever been with, and I would guess every company that you are or will ever be with tracks. It's churn rate. Nobody wants a high churn rate because anytime you lose a customer, you have to sell 2 more, right? And also, frankly, it means they're not happy with your product, your services, the support they're getting, the cost, right? Because they've left. They've gone to one of your competitors. One of your competitors has called them and convinced them to move. We don't want that. So marketing can help there too. Creating community, creating upsell opportunities for you, creating cross-sell opportunities. Hey, you have these 2 products, but if you use the third, you could do what this other person is doing with that product. And then in marketing, we track Net Promoter Score, which is NPS. We track churn rates, etc. And so really all the way through the funnel, super important that you lean on your marketing team. And we'll talk a little bit about how you can do that and why. Because sometimes it doesn't come totally naturally. So what can go wrong? These are the 3 things that I've seen happen with sales and marketing teams that lead to that funnel not being that beautiful partnership, true love Valentine that we had in those first slides. So the first one is attribution. So in business, it's all about your data, it's all about your numbers, and it's about you're making your number, it's about marketing making their numbers. Customer success is tracking their retention number. So when something good or bad happens, who it's attributed to is a big deal. And I have seen sales and marketing teams get sideways when the sales team gets credit for something that the marketing team did. I'm not going to say feels like they did because I'm in marketing. So it's that the marketing team did. Or the marketing team gets credit for something that a salesperson worked on for 6 months and cranked their guts out on. But the CEO's like, yay, marketing, you had that event. And you rewarmed this person. And he's like, dude, I've been working on this for like 6 months. Are you kidding? That's how you get sideways. And so on that, what I've always felt like is attribution is less important than the end result of closed won with happy retained customers. You have to make sure people understand you're making your number. In sales, that's usually pretty clear. In marketing, I tend to take that, I'd rather not get the credit and get the closed won deal. Because then the engine's churning, and in the end, it all works out. But also, I've seen people do really successfully, and I've done, take joint goals. And so joint goals are really helpful because then it's like, we both reach this goal together, it's just a little bit easier. But attribution, people can get. So my last company, the CRO called me and he's like, you're getting credit for these inbounds on the website that we're closing. But really, my team called them first. But then they came through the website and they asked for a demo and they got assigned, and I want credit for those. And I pushed back and said, they didn't answer the phone when your team called, but they went to the website because of our messaging and our low friction website that got them signed up? And he said, yeah, maybe. And I said, okay, so here's the deal. I don't care whether you call these outbound or inbound. I want you to close them, and I want there to be a note on the file that they came through the website, so that at least we know the website's working or it's not. And that was our handshake deal. So usually you can figure it out, but if he hadn't said that to me transparently, if he'd just gone and like complained to all the sales team and to the CEO and not talked to me, we never would have worked out a deal. And that's when marketing and sales teams stop talking and stop working together. So that's the next thing. Ghosting is not acceptable. So I'm old enough that we didn't have ghosting when I was at the University of Utah dating. We didn't have cell phones. I can't imagine a life without a cell phone now. You couldn't ghost anyone because it was just like they haven't written me a letter back yet. And so, no joke. I think I'm kidding, but I'm not. But ghosting is the example of if this sales leader had done this to me and not come to me and said, I've got a concern about attribution, and he'd just gone silent. And so never go silent on your marketing team, and ask them never to go silent on you. Because if they're feeling sideways about something, or they're feeling like you're not using their materials, marketing teams can do the exact same thing. Then it breaks down, you don't have the relationship you want, you're not getting the messaging that you want, and it's a very sad thing. I'm really hoping I used ghosted right there, but if I didn't, don't tell me because I'm too old to change. And then the third thing is unreached goals. So when a go-to-market team, a GTM team, which is usually sales, marketing, and operations, revenue operations, all the data behind the scenes folks who are so important to you as well. We could do a whole nother session on that. When you're not making your goals, that's the third time I've seen things go sideways. Sales teams aren't making their goals. Marketing team isn't driving enough MQLs. Outbound's not hitting. The messaging isn't landing. People are crabby. Everybody gets chippy. And you've got all of a sudden a dysfunctional pipeline again. And so if goals aren't being reached, that's actually the time to work together more versus less. And so my suggestion to you is that if you're in a situation like that, and in fact, when you're interviewing, it's a great thing to ask. What happens if I don't reach my goals my first quarter? What resources are available to me? Who can I work with to make sure I hit my numbers? Those sorts of questions, and then don't pull away from it. Everyone is going to be in a situation where you don't hit your numbers. Like literally, it's the go-to-market like thing. It just happens. Economies change, competitions change. You can fix it, but if you go silent on each other, it's never going to work. So, I was thinking about how to make this relationship work for you, and we talked about some pitfalls. We talked about kind of some interviewing questions, but I was thinking, what would I think you should know as you go into an interview, whether you're already in sales or not? And so these are things you can use if you're already working in sales or if this is something that is going to be your career after school. Understand the company's messaging and why it was built. So right now at our company, we're debating, does our sales team go in with, we can do this for you cheaper, because we totally can, or we can do this for you better, because we totally can. And we're having a discussion with our SDR, my SDR team, and our sales team about what is going to get you more traction on an outbound sales call and on a campaign to drive inbound leads. So we did some testing. We figured out that better and easier is actually more, for our audience, is actually more interesting. And we can deliver on it and explain it better. So that's our go-to-market, our value prop. We can do it for you better and easier. I mean, at a very high level, right? But I'm talking through with the SDR team and the sales team about the why behind that all the time. So if you're in an interview, what's your value proposition, interviewer person? You know how at the end they always say, give me some questions? What's your value proposition? Tell me about that. Tell me why you chose this as your value proposition. Tell me how it's been tested. Those are great questions to ask in an interview. Learn about how your marketing team drives and hands off leads. So do they go through an SDR first? Do they come straight to you? What counts as qualified? Because that's a handshake relationship. Is a lead qualified or not? Ask questions about the content you're seeing in market and what it's driving. And then I know that this sounds really simplistic, but seek out relationships with the marketing team. So you're going to build relationships with the sales team. That's awesome. They're always fun. But get to know your marketing team, because you can not only give that feedback. This is what I'm hearing from customers. Our value prop isn't landing. Or they have this question I can't answer. They want to know about a competitor that we don't have a battle card on. Do you know what a battle card is? Battle cards are docs. It's kind of an archaic term, but basically that compares what you do with a key competitor. And if they're doing their job, your marketing team should be providing these for you. So we're getting asked about Fizz at the Swig sales team meeting. I'm Swig. But if you don't understand how to talk about why you should buy our product versus someone else, that's a problem. Those relationships and that kind of two-way conversations is really, really important. So make sure you're asking the right questions when you get into a meeting about interviewing, what the marketing team is doing, how they built the value prop, because that's going to tell you if you're going to be able to execute and hit your numbers. And then once you start, make sure you're giving the feedback and seeking out those relationships so that that kind of flywheel effect of two-way communication can help you reach your goals and hopefully exceed them. That's marketing and sales. Thanks so much. I think we have a couple of minutes, yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to present to us. I really enjoyed that. So I have a professor who was telling me that I'm a marketing major.
Nice. Round of applause for the marketing major. Come on. She shows up at the sales summit.
So he was saying that for a lot of companies, the marketing funnel is basically a black hole. Do you have a good method for tracking a consumer throughout the marketing and sales funnel, kind of seeing how your efforts are leading directly to inbound leads?
Absolutely. And so really quick, he or she is absolutely right. They can absolutely be a black hole. And the biggest mistake someone in my role can make, and I've learned this because I made it in front of the board of my company at one point, and then I realized, don't want to do that again, is to only report on those marketing qualified leads, which is before it goes into evaluation, and say, look, we gave this huge ball of stuff to sales. Yay. And then they say, yeah, but what was I keep kicking this, what was the conversion rate, which is how many of those actually became opportunities for the sales team, how much converted to closed won deals, and how are they retaining? And so it can be a black hole, but I think as GTM teams generally, we're learning to lay out the stages. I was just doing this with my team yesterday. All of the stages from like awareness, which you could absolutely test even before they're a lead, all the way through to closed won and retention, and understand your conversions between each. So if I have high awareness, let's say I get 100 leads, 20 of them become MQLs, so 20% conversion rate. And then 10% of them, the sales team accepts as qualified opportunities, 50% conversion rate. And 5 of them close, another 50% conversion rate. And I only wish we actually had 50% conversion rates, but my numbers were getting low there. So understanding how they move through the stage and how they're interacting, because the other thing about the funnel is people go back and forth. They'll be like, I'm looking at it. Oh, whoa, I've got a sick kid, or I have a new boss. I'm back up at, I'm interested, but not at all evaluating. And then you try to move them back down to evaluating. And then they get the contract, but their budget just got cut. And they move back up to interest, and you have to call them again in 6 months. So I wish it was this perfect funnel. People bounce around. And so there's systems, I mean, Salesforce and others, to track and make sure you really understand what conversion rates you need to get, what you're getting, and how to fill that gap. So if you need to hit 25%, you're hitting 22%, you attack the 3. Is it okay for one more? Or, okay.
So in situations where sales might want to sell on price and marketing might want to sell on value, how can you determine what's the better option? Like what sort of tests can you run, and how do you sell the other department on your solution?
That's such a good question, because in a marketing person's mind, you think, well, I just write the messaging and then the salespeople will just sell it that way, right? They always just accept what we say, but that's not what ever happens. So it's really important that you do your testing, whether there's sites like Winter. Right? You should all go out and look at Winter as a site, WYNTER. They have people like me and like you soon that basically will review for people within 24 hours their messaging in their target audience. So they send me stuff and they say, $75 if you look at this webpage targeting marketers. And you sign an NDA and everything, and then you say, that doesn't make sense, that does, blah, 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 blah. You get instant feedback. There's so many ways to get instant feedback now. So it's really important to show that data and feedback, external feedback, customer signal, and tell them the why of why you're changing it. We are seeing, a higher conversion rate in the folks that are using this. We've been told by our ICP, our target customer, that this actually resonates. And then you just have to ask them to try it. And it usually works, but it's hard because like all of us, if they've found something else that works, you want to do the same thing, right? If something works, you want to keep doing it. And so sometimes there has to be a little bit of art of the persuasion there and data usage. I'm going to work on that this afternoon, actually. So thanks for the question.
Awesome. Thank you to Amy for this great breakout session, and thanks to all of you for joining us. Please check your schedules and head to your final breakout session, which starts at 11.